it seems like it's the smaller of the smallest, but also the large of the largest. Meaning that you can expand your consciousness to an atom, you can expand your consciousness completely around into the universe. That is the quality of mind. Okay, and that is what happens with meditation. That is what happens with chanting over a period of time. And that is nothing but self-realization. Okay? Okay. Then, just like mind is called Ubhayendriya, meaning it is associated with both the sense organ as well as the motor organs, it is also called Atindriya. Ati means beyond, meaning it is beyond the senses. And why is it beyond the senses? Because you do not need the senses for the mind to function. Okay? But you do need the mind for the senses to function. Is that making sense? I mean, in order to be able to hear or see, you do need the mind. But even if that is not there, the mind can function through its vastness because of its anutva quality, by expanding into the consciousness. So that is Atindriya.
So then, just a quick question on that. So we were saying earlier how the mind is located in the heart, yet here it says it doesn't have one location. So can you explain that a little bit, like why they would, what they...
Sure. What they have written in the text, I'll tell you what they have said in the text, is there is a location of the mind. It functions. It has a location. That is the place where it resides as such. But the field of action is vast. Okay?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Again, moving on to the dual quality. It can have dual qualities, right? Happiness and sadness, anger and joy. And so all those are the qualities of the mind as well. Because it oscillates between two extremes. The moment it doesn't do that, that is when you attain self-realization. We already talked about the location of the mind, which is in the heart, but the function is through the brain, because it's through the brain that it connects with the sense organs of action. And then there are certain different functions of the mind, and maybe you can give your inputs on that. What are the functions of the mind? If you're not able to say, that's okay, you can explain it to me in English, and that's perfectly fine. You can meditate on various choices, right? Mind can think about the pros and cons of a thing. It is able to make a decision, set goals, and then work towards the goals, right? So these are the functions of the mind. Then there are 4 functional differences of the mind, which are manas, ahankar, buddhi, and chitta. Manas is associated to the senses, ahankar is the ego, buddhi is the discrimination, and then chitta is memory. What are the 3 mental gunas? And tama. So if you were to describe these gunas in one word, sattva would be purity, raja would be action, and tamas would be inertia, lethargy. Okay? And you have learnt about this, I'm pretty sure, in the first class as well, where you can associate these gunas with the doshas, right? Okay. Then how do you nourish the mind? You can nourish the mind with good actions, herbs, food. What kind of food would you eat to nourish the mind?
Organic,
sattvic fruits, living foods. Okay. What kind of herbs? Brahmi.
Licorice.
What actions would you do to nourish the mind? Meditate. Pranayama. So the next thing we talk about is the 5 sheaths, which are Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, So you can imagine these things as auras, right? Auras around your body. Annamaya is the physical body, and it is associated with earth and what else? What physical, let's say, it's also associated with the sense organs and the organs of action, right? Then you have the pranamaya, which is the vital air sheath, which is associated with water, breath, and the 5 subtle pranas, right? Next you have manomaya, which is the mind, and it is associated with fire. What else? Emotions. And then you have Jnanamaya, which is air, which is the intellect, Jnanamaya. And then lastly you have the Anandamaya, which is ether. And which is the blissful state, the state of ignorance, or the state you go in when you're asleep. Okay? So these are the 5 sheaths, and the more you meditate, or the more you start going inwards, you start moving from Annamaya to Anandamaya kosha. Okay. Also notice, you have learnt about pranayama, right? And pranayama, as we know, pranayama is breathing exercises. And as we all know, pranayamas are extremely beneficial and effective for physical as well as mental problems. Okay, so I have seen cases with only with these breaths, only with your breath or breathing exercises, they have turned their lives around. Okay, as far as their physical issues and also their mental. Okay, so why do you think, how does it affect both the physical body and the mental body? Why does breath affect both the physical and the mental states? How does it do that?
It calms the mind. It's calming, so it calms the mind. And because of that, because then the breath can just go, sort of flow through the body without causing agitation.
So what you're trying to say is, it helps clear the blockages and, helps heal. What else? That is a good point. Why is this breath affecting both physical body and the mental body?
Well, depending on the mood, depends on how you're going to breathe, how much air is going through your body to clean out those negative energies.
Sure. Okay.
And also it allows you to take the breath from the prana, from sort of the whole outside universe, and take it inside and to use it to go further, deeper inward.
Sure. Anything else?
Is it the location where it can affect the going up and down?
That can be one, because the pranas will affect the entire body, right? You have 5 pranas. That is a valid point as well, because you see prana and udana and those vayus, 5 vayus flow through your entire system. So that is a valid point.
Because when you become aware of the breath, it reflects what's going on inside, and then that awareness makes it disappear if it's negative.
Okay. So all of these are valid points, definitely. The other thing, what I had in mind was, if you look at this pranamaya kosha, right? Pranamaya kosha is nothing but the vital air or your breath. It is nicely situated between Annamaya kosha and Manomaya kosha, right? So this breath can affect Annamaya Kosha, which is nothing but the physical body, your general physical functioning, but it can also affect Manomaya Kosha, which is nothing but the mind. So pranayama becomes very effective. It just becomes like medicine because it heals both. A lot of times what we just look at breath is like we need to breathe because we need to get that air into the lungs, that oxygen into the body to stay alive, right? But this breath that we take in is not conscious breathing. How many of us know that you're breathing? How many of you know you're breathing? You just do it, right? But the moment you do it consciously, the moment you realize that you're actually breathing in and out, that conscious breath is a healing breath. Okay? And pranayama is a conscious breath because you are focusing on it, knowing that it is going in and out. Okay? So those were the 5 sheets. Moving on to the 3 bodies, which are physical. Again, the physical body obviously associated with the physical body, right? The sukshma sharir or the subtle body is associated with the subtle energies. It is associated with the chakras in the body. It is associated with ojas, tejas and prana, which is nothing but the subtle forms of vata, pitta and kapha. Okay, so that is the sukshma sharir. And it is very interesting to know that these chakras that the Sukshma Sharir is associated with, they have a physical representation as well. Okay? When we say, these are energy centers, on a physical level, these energy centers, you could think of the nadis. On a physical level, they are nothing but these nerves and nerve roots that are going through your entire body. Okay? On a physical level. On a subtle level, now, going back to the physical level again, these nerves come out from certain plexuses in the body. Okay, there are nerve plexuses, meaning aggregation of nerves at certain points in your body. Some of it is in your brain, is a lot in your brain, and then it is also all the way along the spine. There are aggregations from where they branch out and supply to the body. So, for example, there is the brachial plexus, which is close, in the neck area, which then the nerves go on and supply your arms and fingers, and you're able to do things. And there is the cardiac plexus, which is going towards the heart. Then you have a solar plexus in the in the back, which is supplying on a physical. I'm talking like on a physical level, which gives nerves to the stomach and your organs and makes sure that all those functions are carried out correctly. Then as you go down, there is lumbar, there is sacral, so there are all these plexuses of nerves if you look anatomically. Okay, now the same thing, you open up a cadaver. Okay, you see all these things are there in the body, but you don't see the subtle body, right? So these chakras are actually associated with the subtle. So a lot of times you say chakras. What are chakras? I don't know. I don't see them. Obviously, because if you're not able to see or hear or look or feel, it is difficult to comprehend. So in the subtle bodies, the same 7 chakras are associated with these nerve plexuses. Okay? So you have Mooladhara at the bottom, which is at the anus. Then you have Swadhisthana, which is associated with the sacral. Then you have, or lumbar, you could even call it lumbar. Then you have the solar plexus, which is Manipura. Anahat is with the cardiac. Then the brachial is associated with the one in the neck, which is Vishuddha. Then you have Ajna. And then you have the Sahasrara. And Sahasrara, if you know, it goes from like 2-petal lotus to a 1,000-petal lotus. Now what does